We start tonight with the fallout to the Taylor Walker racism row, which gathers momentum as we speak. We're going to hear from Taylor, who broke his silence tonight alongside Robbie Young in a video. And after this, we're going to get Kane Cornes' immediate reaction.
Robbie expressed his feelings to me to sit next to me today. I'm so thankful that you're here, mate, sitting next to me. Thank you for accepting my apology. You've shown huge courage and support for me. I want to apologise to you and your family, to the Adelaide official and his family, to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and their communities for the pain, hurt and disappointment I've caused. What I said was racism, and it's totally unacceptable. I've lost trust and respect from everyone, and I know that, and I've got work to do. I'm going to take some time away from the football club to let people heal. I'm now going to educate myself, which is going to take some time, because I want to be better for it, and I want to influence people around me, because there's no place for racism in society. I'm going to lean on you, Robbie. I'm going to lean on the AFL and others around me to support me. Thanks, mate.
Well, firstly, it was very courageous and classy of Robbie Young to be present while that video was being filmed. But I'm not sure who is advising Taylor Walker, his management group. This is why you pay them 3% of your wage. He needs to front the media, the wider media, and answer questions. I'm not sure we've learned anything from that video that we didn't already read in the statement that he apologised on Friday. He had to be courageous enough to front up like his coach did, like his CEO did at the most difficult times, and speak and answer those questions so we can learn more about this situation and what the next steps are. A staged and scripted video that was released by the club at 6:20 on a Monday night before news deadlines is not going to cut it.
And it's inflamed things, if that's possible, even further a little bit around the football community tonight. There's a simmering anger around football, around what's happened, and I don't think the consequences are even remotely yet known.
Yeah, and I'm cognisant as we sit here for white Australians who cannot one of us possibly understand how Robbie Young and thousands, hundreds of thousands of Indigenous Australians must have felt when it came out what Taylor Walker said. This is a leader in one of the greatest sports in the world, the greatest sport in this country, who has had more in education than probably most Australians, and yet he still does it.
He's been the captain of that team. He's been part of their leadership and cultural program. He's been strong on racism himself. He's called for fans to be
Adelaide
banned.
have been trying to get him to film something, to say something since Friday. Taylor was in no fit state, we're told, to do it Friday, Saturday or Sunday. There was a strong desire to get him to hold a press conference, but no one could be sure that the right things would be said or could be said, that he would cope with that or say the right thing. Look, you know...
This didn't happen last week. It's been going for several weeks.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing club colours. He's in a white casual shirt. He is going to go away for quite a while. We don't know if he'll ever be back at the Adelaide Football Club. But look, I just want to play something. We know Stephen Rowe has been strong in his defence of Taylor Walker. Bagged me, bagged Sam McClure, bagged Peter Ryan, the two men from The Age who broke the story. This is one of the takes from Stephen Rowe.
But I'm not going to stand by and have a great man's character assassinated and reputation ruined because of an allegation that's meant to be confidential in its investigation that is likely... I don't know all the facts, nor does Ryan and McClure, to be innocent.
Now, that pricked something in me, Kane, and I had been told, and well, my personal opinion is that I'm not sure Taylor was completely honest when he was first questioned about this. I put that to 5 senior people involved in this story. One said that they thought it was right, what I put to them. The other 4 refused to comment. What we do know is that this investigation was highly complex and very difficult to get to the bottom of what happened, and other witnesses had to come forward. So it wasn't made easy. It wasn't made any easier for Robbie Young. It was Robbie Young whose idea it was to go and sit with Taylor, which makes it even more admirable in my view.
And I want to ask you, Hutchie, because from a PR perspective, I mean, this is the space that you live in. When does he have to face the media? I firmly believe that he has to front up and answer questions. What would you have said to him if you were advising him and you were his management group?
Yeah, well, I don't think that solved things for him at all. It didn't look in any way like it achieved anything to me. It looked too little, too late. I think you're right, as uncomfortable as it was, he had to face the music day one and throw himself at the lap of the football community. He doesn't get any empathy or a discount for doing that, but he shouldn't have done it for those reasons either. It was just the right thing to do. And I think it's going to be very hard for him to play at that footy club again.
Well, I heard you, Caro, just say that. Do you think he should play? Yeah, I think he has to play again.
But at Adelaide?
Well, I'm not sure anybody else would take him in this situation.
The trust is broken there. I suppose the counter is whatever currency he had outside Adelaide, I think, is gone. Yeah. So I just want to ask you, though, Caro, you said originally at the time that this news first broke, I'm not sure Taylor will play again. I said I didn't think he... Yes. If he's found to have done what he's accused of doing, I couldn't see him coming back. And now are you saying that this would be Adelaide's decision or maybe Taylor's decision to walk away? Because I just wonder with the advice, if I was Taylor and the club said, no, Taylor, that's not going to cut it. If you want to come back and play next year, you need to front the media and bear yourself to questioning. But I just wonder if he maybe thinks, well, I'm not going to consider coming back anyway. No. I think he would probably want to play. I don't think he knows what he thinks at the moment. He's traumatised. I think it's worth listening, though, to some big-name football heads in our community and some of the Adelaide response as well. Let's have a listen.
Good strong words by Tex, which he needed to do. He's owned it and now he's got to live it. This is going to be a good lesson for everyone because there's a lot of casual racism that happens out in society and we laugh about it at times, but we all probably don't realise how much damage it does really cause.
He's just shattered that he actually has said what he said, and because his relationship with Indigenous players is as good as you'll ever see. Some of those players have reached out to him and it's just not him.
I think the person who would show the most contrition here is Taylor Walker. I don't think Taylor Walker has any racism in him whatsoever. He got it horribly wrong. And we have to show through these types of suspensions that we can't tolerate it.
I'm mindful, what you said before connected with me. We are 4 white Australians who are really ill-equipped to understand the pain, the trauma, and it almost feels inappropriate talking about it. Those responses were woefully inadequate. I do think what Mark Rasciuto said there was appalling. Linking it to casual racism, there's racism, no such thing. It's casual, and that was as direct a form of racism as you'll see. And I don't know anyone who laughs about it. Anyone. Well, I tell you who doesn't laugh about it is the coach of the Adelaide Football Club, who spoke last week.
What's played out here is completely unacceptable and something that we won't stand for as a football club. It's something that I won't stand for as a football coach. It's times like this you want to, you make phone calls to people you've played alongside and you apologise to them. You just want to look them in the eye and be able to say, we've got your back. And that's hard to do at the moment.
It's not up to the Indigenous boys to get an answer or solve the problem. The reaction from Tex and how he goes about the next stage of this, it is really difficult. I don't know how I would handle it if someone had said that while my time at Sydney. That'll be really hard. I can guarantee you there'll be a mix of emotions, anger, sadness. The main one for me would have been anger, and I would have said something that I may or may not have regretted a bit later on.
And Eddie Betts chose to speak to one of the first Indigenous reporters The Age has employed for some time, and said of Taylor, his former teammate, he needs to learn from this, he needs to own it, and he needs to work towards educating himself to be anti-racist. And when it comes to racism, we're not moving forward, we're going backwards. Strong words from Eddie Betts. Really interesting, though, the response from within the Adelaide Football Club, Kane, to those comments by Mark Rasciuto. I think we saw the response from Matthew Nicks. We heard Tim Silvers last week. I'm not sure everyone is on the same page at the Adelaide Football Club with Mark Rasciuto. They probably weren't anyway. They certainly aren't now.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. We played those comments on the Sunday Footy Show, and I was really strong on them yesterday. And look, I think he will play again. I think he will. He's business partners with Mark Rasciuto. They're close colleagues. They work together, and he's the most influential figure at the Adelaide Football Club. So if he's speaking like that, there's some forgiveness there already. And I think he will play again in time. But to hear from Rowie, who's conflicted on this issue because his son is so close to Tex and he's on the list, to hear from Bernie Vince, best mates, and to hear from Mark Rasciuto, it was a strange opinions that we heard from Adelaide figures last week.
It's just on Nixie. I know before you finish off, Nixie was the first bloke Michael O'Loughlin ever met when he joined Sydney, and idolises Nixie for what he did.
They were housemates.
And Adam Goodes. You can see what he's had to go through calling those two.
I thought it was telling that the CEO said they wanted Taylor back next year, and Nix was non-committal in his answer, which was mixed messages, but probably a true insight into how they both feel. Last point on this, I think this calls into question, particularly from an industry point of view, people and their views in the spotlight when they are inconsistent from a fan perspective to a player perspective. We have seen, and understandably so, such rigour put around fans, Caro.
Yep.
Banned from the game, shouldn't be allowed to attend. We've seen a lot of these type of statements along the way from players and from the AFLPA. If you compare that for a moment to the AFLPA statement on this, where it was, I thought it fell short of being as condemning as it could have been, and it did reference, I think on 2 occasions, correct me if I'm wrong, the nickname.
Certainly one, yeah.
At least once.
I think if Paul Marsh had his time again, he would not do that. I mean, I'm told that statement was run past all senior members of the AFL's Indigenous playing community, and they made some changes and approved it. But I agree.
But to use the nickname...
Yeah, really disappointing. Symbolically.
Unreasonably casualised.
Yep.
At a time when the AFLPA has been such a leader and so strong on fan behaviour. So if you want to put those two things together, you've got to be able to have the same...
They were woefully inadequate when the camp stories emerged and the Indigenous players' response happened.
Is it true that the AFLPA wanted a 3-week ban, or is that...
They were pushing certainly for a far lesser punishment. There was some at the AFL who wanted 10 weeks. It ended up being 6. Look, the AFLPA don't push for punishments for racism. They didn't push for a punishment to the AFL when the Indigenous vaccination scandal happened last year. They didn't push for people like Robert Di Domenico or Eddie Maguire to be fined. So, they're consistent in not pushing for bans. But what I want to see now...
The person sitting at home would say...
The Players Association shouldn't get involved because they're too conflicted.
Yep.
They can't back one and not back the other. I think what I want to see is the AFL, and I'm told behind the scenes they're doing this. I'm told that it's come to commission level. They failed Adam Goodes. Every single one of them, certainly on the commission, and even Gillan McLaughlin and his team. And I'm hearing and I'm hoping that they really redeem themselves. Not redeem themselves, but this time around do the right thing and change the way football clubs operate. And I'm told that's happening.
But last point on this, we're getting into areas we're not experts in. I really hope that was Robbie's decision to do that video and it was his idea and he wasn't asked to do it because...
Adelaide insisted it was his idea.
At his level, as a SANFL player who wouldn't be earning the same income and be looking for future opportunities, he's unbelievably, to Kane's point, brave and heroic to put himself in that position to do that, given how he was treated.